Let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you're okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize for the delay. You probably are hearing me over the phone. At least I hope you still are. And just want to check and make sure. And looks like that's still going on. So what's happened is that there are some issues with our computer system here at work, and I'm not able to show anything online during this Q&A. So you're not going to be able to see anything, and I don't know what's happened. I tested it this afternoon, and somehow now there's an issue with a firewall, so I can't push out anything. I'm having to use my phone to hook in, but I can read the chat. So I have a question. Please review or provide a tutorial on how to address the sectoral employment shares. Yes, in location quotients. The sectoral employment shares, definitely cover that, and also I will cover the location quotients, and that will be tonight. What I will tell you is I have added some reading with respect to location quotients in the reading folder of your course documents. So if you were to go there, you'll see that there are two very brief articles that explain location quotients, but I will do a tutorial tonight on location quotients to explain how that is. You will see that it's a very simple, it's not a very difficult problem. There is actually, I will also show you where there is a website that's still active. It's actually active through the end of this month. That allows you to kind of calculate the location quotients for you and kind of show some of the other stuff that the feds provide for you to be able to gather that information in more recent data. So we'll definitely have that in there, but we will make sure. Just kind of looking over assignment 4. The main things that you are doing in this is we're looking at. That you look at that level 1 detail that we've pulled, and the question about location quotients. That's something that's covered in the syllabus or in the course schedule about location quotients, but we have not gone through it. So I definitely need to provide you with some information. I will go ahead and say that based on how I put that together tonight, I might go ahead and add another day to the deadline and say that it's due. That it'll be due at the end of Saturday. Either that or probably I'll figure something out, but I'm not going to penalize y'all for not having that in there. So definitely will provide that information for you to make sure that you have the information on location quotients. It is something that we need to do, and again, I will make sure that that's in a tutorial, and I'm sorry that it's not available for you to look at right now. Let me see, were there any other questions with regard to assignment 4? Because if there were not, I wanted to quickly go over the outline for the midterm, and I am showing it on my screen here so that when you listen to this audio online, it'll be there. The midterm exam, and I will send out this in an email as well. We are the topics. I mean, again, my hope is that the midterm will be 2 or 3 questions at most, and it will not be intended that you produce a lot of content, but will be more about analysis to see that you have an understanding of some of the topics we've covered and some of the work that you're doing, and also, of course, to check that you're doing your reading. As you saw in the assignment. In the assignment spreadsheet, that there are several readings that are there. I have pulled a couple of them out and have made them available in the readings folder. Of your assignment of your course documents area, so that you know which ones I want you to make sure that you've read. The 2 that we started off with originally at the beginning, along with all the chapters out of the text that I'd like for you to read are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. There's a chance that I might quiz you in regard to some of the concepts there. Now, again, this is going to, because it's going to be online, it's not going to be proctored. It's more of about it. It's not like I'm expecting you to know it verbatim, but there will be some particular themes that I will try to incorporate when preparing the exam. Also, there was one of the documents early on, an introduction to regional economics. Chapter 1 from that online book would be a good source to read, as well as the short piece that was produced, how to read the economy, a primer. Also, the 2 documents that I have uploaded about location quotient, and also online you will find Campbell's work, unearned income and local employment growth in North Carolina. I would like for you to take a look at that, because I did have a chance to read through it a little bit. I think there's some information that's very particular as we're going through our study, particularly the work you did last week in assignment 3. Also, you will find one of those listings is Tibba's classic work from 1962. We cannot download that, but you can access it, and the link to access it is also in the assignment guide. So you can't, and I will tell you right now, don't try to read the whole thing, but I may try to pull some. Obviously, you need to be familiar with some of Thibault's classic work, and I would say go out there and study. Some of you probably already know what his classic work is, but you need to look in that, and we'll discuss that more next week. I will tell you we're going to discuss that some more next week. The lectures, I'm hoping to have lectures 1 through 5 done and up and loaded. The last couple of lectures will not be as long. They'll probably be about 15 to 20 minutes each, and try to just cover over some key points, and it'll be tied to the reading. The video, the Joe Max Higgins video, I will definitely incorporate that into the midterm, and try to think about, try to get some perspective. It was a nice way to introduce the class and kind of think about, now that you've studied a little more about it and kind of seen, as we've done this data work and you've done your reading, kind of understand some of the issues that are going on that face the county that he works at, the area that he works at in Mississippi, as well as here. And then also, one of the questions will definitely pull from your work on the 4 assignments, the 3 data assignments plus the regional scan. Well, the regional scan is also a data assignment, but those 4 assignments, expect those to be tied into the midterm as well. But again, should be no more than 3 questions, and my hope is that I keep it to where it would take, that hopefully in terms of time of completion, taking no more than about 90 minutes to do it. But it'll be distributed on Tuesday. It'll be distributed probably midday next Tuesday, and then it'll be due at 11:59 p.m. on Friday. So you will have a total of 3.5 days. It'll be definitely out by noon on Tuesday of next week, and so you'll have a total of 84 hours to complete it between that and 11:59 p.m. on Friday. And the reason being is I don't want there to be any concern about me going into your technical spring break, which begins after Friday. So that will be the midterm. Let me go back and check. The due date for this assignment, that we're working on this week, assignment 4, technically right now is Friday at 11:59 p.m. However, there's a tutorial that I need to prepare, and I will do that tonight. So chances are it will be extended 24 hours to this Saturday. It may go further, but I will tell you right now, it'll definitely be extended to this Saturday, to 11:59 p.m. this Saturday. It may go into the following week, but I'd rather not, because I want to give y'all a little time to actually prepare for the midterm. But we will see. Looks like for CA25, no, the data itself is CA25 data. I'm going to look real quick at the CA25 to make sure, because the only information that you may need, you've obviously got the CA25 data is dealing with employment numbers. The only other data that you may need would be population, and you should have that from one of your prior assignments. I believe in one of the prior assignments you collected year-to-year population data from 1990 to 2015. If not, for your county, you can go to either the census, or if you go back to, I believe, to assignment 2 on population. When we did the population work in assignment 2, you can go back to that and look at your data there. Right. Yeah, that was the additional for data there. That has a lot to do with what was there before. But honestly, I would focus for the most part on the CA25. The CA25 will do your work. Now, in understanding perhaps why, in terms of looking at the questions, and you may be asking yourself, how did we have these drops? If there's any significant drops, you might find some information on those other sites, but I will tell you, because of what's happened with the State Department of Commerce and how they've reorganized employment security, you're not going to find that much. The warn letters that they've really they've moved the data around. It's a lot harder to find. You might be able to find some more information in more recent years. The warn letters are a good source, but they collect them now statewide, and you have to kind of you have to read through them for your county. It used to be that was actually part of the D4 project, and they took the warn letters out of the D4 and moved them to this other site, and they kind of did it, because they wanted to make less of a deal out of it. But obviously, it limits the amount of information you have, that's readily available. And again, the warn letters, what those are, is when an employer is laying off over a certain number of employees, or has a certain number of employees, and they're laying off employees, they have to submit a notice with the state, and it's part of their rules with respect to their unemployment insurance. And they have to notify the state. They have to give them a little bit of advance notice. The rules are a little sketchy at best, but they're required to kind of give notice, and it's a way for the government to track when, for example, if a manufacturer is going to lay off people, it gives the state and county authorities the information they need to be able to activate the service, to be prepared to activate the services for the intake of those employees coming in for their first week of unemployment. So that I would imagine there's a likelihood that maybe a few of you have experienced this personally, and there's no good way around it. But it's a bureaucratic step that is used to try to help agencies plan for it. But again, there's a lot of it's not the best indicator, because they don't have to say who's being laid off. They don't exactly have to say when. They can be vague, and a lot of times when companies do that, because when they're trying to make announcements, as you know, employers make announcements in a way to try to maximize productivity, or try to maximize what they can get out of employees beforehand. So they don't give employees a lot of notice. Typically, the day you're laid off is your last day. That's the way it is nowadays, and it is a different. It deals with the world as it is. Are there any other questions with respect to assignment 4? Okay, since there are no other questions with respect to assignment 4. Okay, did you say there's an article on sectoral employment shares? There is one that is let me check. I'm going to check my readings. There are articles about location quotients. Sectoral employment shares is a pretty simple division in terms of looking at the sector of the total economy. I believe that sectoral employment shares is pretty straightforward. Yeah. When you're doing sectoral shares, that's a pretty straightforward division of looking at, for example, the share of overall employment that's manufacturing or retail. Sectoral shares, that's pretty straightforward. The location quotient is a little more in depth, but unless I'm entirely wrong when I was looking through sectoral employment shares, you're really looking at it based on sector. And at the county level, the sectors are pretty limited. When you get down into national data, they start having a little more depth to them. But no, there's articles on there about location quotient. So that is on there. Okay. Any other questions with respect to assignment 4? Because when you're working on, when you're looking at it, and you'll see this as you work in it, what we're talking about. These are pretty, when you start looking at it. And also you can look at a lot of this about, there's more information about location quotients also covered in chapter 6. So, yeah. Excellent, Amanda. I'm actually going to look that up myself. I'm just going to pull that up here since I'm recording this screen. Yep. Employment by sector. This is national. And it's a little, the date is a little off. I did find another site, and I'm just going to share it. I did find a site that actually allows you to actually pull up location quotient. It does the math. Again, this is not very it's not very difficult math once you get to it. Once you look at those examples, the one that was assigned originally was about 5 or 6 pages long. The other one I pulled up, I think it's like 3 pages long. So you'll find that it's pretty simple once you look at it. But sectoral shares is segment, and then location quotient dealing with is kind of a comparison of sectoral shares. So that's what it'll be, and that's how we'll explain it in the tutorial. But I will do the tutorial just to make sure. Any other questions with respect to assignment 4? Okay, what I am going to then do is I am going to go ahead and kick off. Go ahead and shut down at this point. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I apologize that we were not as things did not work out like they normally do, but I appreciate your patience, and we will we'll follow up here this evening with the recording from this, as well as the tutorial with respect to assignment 4, and also have email going out about what's on the midterm. The email about the midterm will go out tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and get you the information. And the deadline for assignment 4 has been changed to this Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So if there are any other questions, just let me know. Thank you very much.